Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies, strengthening your business while offering your talents to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
I'm excited. Let's bring Adam Fleming into the show. Hey, Adam.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you, Christine. Good to see you.
It's always wonderful to have you. I know we've had you on the Tuesday broadcast before. Woohoo! We're going to have some fun today. So Adam Fleming, for those that haven't met you yet, well, wait a minute. Congratulations are in order. I heard you sold your business.
We did. Yeah, we sold Victory Vision Publishing last year. And it's weird to think of 2025 as last year, right? But it's been a little while.
So true. But, that's quite an accomplishment. For some industries, that's what the goal is, right? Build your business up big enough so you can sell it. But I'm sure you got bored after that because I can't imagine you just not doing anything.
Oh, it's kind of funny. If I listed all the projects that I'm involved with and then told you that I also think of myself as semi-retired, you'd be like, that doesn't sound like semi-retirement. But I am going to Belize tomorrow for 2 weeks. So
great fun then.
Tomorrow, which is why we're recording this. Yeah.
There you go. Well, so that being the case, for those that don't know your history and background, tell us a little bit, how did you get involved in the whole book writing, publishing space?
Yeah. So I always loved the arts. In high school, I took ceramics classes and drawing classes. In my young adulthood, I messed around with stone sculpture and music. I played bass guitar for the church worship team for about 6 years. And then one day I was reading a book about Michelangelo, and it talked about how at 5 years old, he was cutting stones for just paving stones, just squares, and learning how the marble would break when he hit it. Right. And I realized that what I'd really been doing since I was 5 was reading. And the thing that made the most sense for me to invest the rest of my life into artistically was writing. So I self-published my first novel in 2012 and learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, but the book turned out really well and had a really good editor, which is really important. We'll talk about that a little more later. And then, over the course of time, met Julie Ballard through this network, actually through Timothy Morgan, and ended up, she asked me to run the company for a while, and then we sold it last year. So I did some ghostwriting, I did some developmental editing. I decided I'm no longer interested in doing ghostwriting at this point. So I'm not available for that. But then after we sold that, we ended up, when I say we, I'm talking about my wife and I. My wife, Megan Fleming, joined up with Morgan James Publishing, which is a traditional publisher out of New York, known, I would say, significantly known as being the publisher that sells the most books per title of any publisher. So not as many titles as like Random House, but they're not throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what will stick 1% and letting the other 99%, rot in squalor. But we're actually interested in seeing all the authors do well. And so Morgan James is a little bit different, but we're excited about it.
Completely changed your focus from just self-publishing into working with a major publisher. That's pretty exciting.
Well, it's cool to see people get foreign deals for translation rights for, be able to do. I don't know how much movie rights we do. I'm not sure about that, but translation, being able to sell in other countries, and some things that you can't do when you self-publish. So that's cool stuff.
Well, that's an exciting place to be. I know you've got some wisdom that you're going to share with us today, right?
Yeah. Well, do we have that slide? Can we show?
We do. Let me pull that up. Here we go.
Yeah. Oh, and we should mention that I've written 20 books now. So that's cool.
That is totally cool. I don't know very many people that have written 20 books.
I've met a few who've written quite a bit more. But hey, let's hit that next one there, because this is just for a little bit of fun, everybody. The word of the day is sundoku. I'm an author, and I love word of the day type stuff. So the word of the day is sundoku. It's a Japanese term about, I think it's only about 150 or 175 years old. It's a blending of two different Japanese words. I can't remember exactly what, but it basically means the charming quirk of buying books and letting them pile up with the intent of reading them someday. So if that's you, even though this is
me,
you just raise your hand, own it. And I want you to know something, because I'm really into adventure, and that's a whole nother chat. But I learned recently from somebody else at Morgan James that planning to read books does the same thing in your brain as planning a trip. So I think that's really cool. So plan lots of trips this year between the pages of a book.
I love it. Yes.
So that's just an encouragement to go read, or at least pretend that you're going to read by buying books.
Or pick up that book that's been sitting on your nightstand for the last 6 months that you've been meaning to read.
Yeah, do that too. Right. So today we are going to talk about speed, quality, and cost. I was in a networking group one time when somebody's catchline was like, it was something like, you can have cheap. How's it go? Help me out, Christine.
Yeah, there's one about cheap, fast, or accurate, basically,
good.
Right?
Cheap, fast, and good. You can only get two. You got to pick two, because you can't have all
pick
three.
Two, the third one's sacrifice. So pick your favorites.
Yeah. So, and I actually use this a lot when I'm talking to authors who are trying to figure out which direction to go publishing wise, between traditional, hybrid. There are some things about Morgan James that are a little bit falling into the hybrid category, although it really is traditional, and self-publishing, and understand what's best for you. And that's what we really want you to come away from it, whether it's you writing a book, or if you're a marketer and you're in this network and you have a client who is, trying to build their platform, and they're trying to decide, whether or not they should try to find an agent, get a traditional publisher, or whether they should just, grind this thing out and slap it out on Amazon. Those are the questions that we want to explore today, so that you're better prepared to help people you might know in your network when they start asking questions about, how do I write a book? So I want to touch on editing, because that's a subcategory of quality. So somebody came in through the Morgan James website the other day, and they punted him over to me and said, check out this guy's proposal and see what you think. And I looked at a sample chapter, and the proposal said that it was professionally edited. And I started looking at the sample chapter, and I was like, I don't know who you paid to do this, but it's not up to snuff for us. And so I had to give this guy feedback. And part of what we do at Morgan James is give people a heck of a lot more feedback, even if we're not going to publish them, than most agents will ever do. And so I gave this guy feedback, and I said, I really hate to tell you this. But I also took that chapter, dropped it into Word, and put notes in the margins for him, so he could see that I wasn't just saying, oh, you need to hire another editor, but I needed to show him why. So for example, like 2020 is, what's the phrase? 2020 is, hindsight is 2020.
Yes.
You write the 20/20 like you're writing like you're writing a prescription, right? Or something for the eyes. And he had a 20-20. And that's just a little proofreading thing. But there was also places where
little nuances like that you may not know. I mean, how often do you write that? Right?
Well, this is the problem is you don't know what you don't know. So you're hire an editor, assuming that they know what they are supposed to know, but you get what you pay for a lot of times. And sometimes you pay for stuff and you still don't get what you paid for. So just like get in touch with somebody who's in the industry. That's what I'm here for, is to help people connect with an editor that's actually going to give them. But there was other stuff too, like in about 4 pages time, he said, when I was a child, my mother moved us to Brooklyn. And it repeated several times. And I was like, so there needs some developmental editing as well as proofreading. Like the story is just like you're repeating the same at the same place, and we need to condense all this. So writing it really well is difficult. So if you want to produce something with quality, then you need to make sure that you have good editing and proofreading. And the quality question really is a question of, what is your brand? Because when you think about your brand, so my brand is like, it's cool if I wear a baseball cap. I'm good with that. And people who tend to work with me tend to be good with that too, but if your brand is, need to have a necktie or something like that, you don't want to put out a book on Amazon that has misspellings all over the place. And by the way, hate to say it, but AI is not there yet. Not if you really want the quality that we're talking about. So AI would have actually caught a lot more stuff than what that guy's professional editor would have caught, which is kind of sad. When you're taking money for something that ChatGPT could have done better, then maybe you need a different job, or I don't know.
Right. You have to, editing your book with AI is a very special process. You can't just run it through and then hope for the best. You got to give it some really good parameters and rules to go with it. And even then it's not going to catch everything. It may actually cause some problems. So it's not as perfect as we would like it to be.
Right. And our publication board at Morgan James Publishing is scanning for whether or not the book was written with AI, and it very well. I mean, you can publish it to Amazon if you write it with AI, but if a company like Morgan James finds that if it looks like it's been done with AI, they're not going to be interested.
Right.
So the world is looking for genuine, fresh ideas, not things that came from like groupthink. So I know some of you guys. Good word of
advice right there, right? You want to be original.
Your marketing network are pretty big on AI, and it has its place. So I don't want
it has its place. Absolutely.
I don't want to poo-poo AI, but in book publishing and editing and proofreading, be really mindful of what you're saying with that process.
Absolutely. If you're going to go to a publisher and you want them to publish your work, these are the rules, right?
These are the rules. We're looking for people who actually wrote their own book. Yeah.
Go figure.
Go figure. Yeah, exactly. So we touched on quality and particularly as it relates to brand, right? And then speed. Let's talk about speed a little bit. So I love that I can put something on Amazon in half an hour, and if you have a really good reason, and hopefully thinking strategically, not tactically, because our tactical mind is, well, this could be out tomorrow. Our tactical mind is, I could write the whole thing with ChatGPT tomorrow, right?
Right.
But if the strategy requires speed for some reason, Christine, help me brainstorm. What would be a good reason to publish something ASAP?
You're going to speak at a summit and you're stepping in at the last minute, and you need to make sure that you have a giveaway.
That's awesome. That's a great one. Yeah, actually, my first novel, I was looking for a traditional publisher, and then I had written a play also for stage and found a local theater that was willing to do it. to do my play, as long as I was willing to direct it. So I directed a community theater group, and I self-published my book in time for opening night. So I did have an event that was coming along with the opening of the book, and then I was able to sell however many copies to the theater crowd, along with the opening night of the theater performance. So had a lot of fun with that. But yes, definitely.
Unless there's a reason, right? A lot of times you want to kind of take your time and do it right.
Because one of the things that I've learned from Morgan James is it's really not that hard to get your book in all Barnes and Noble across the United States if you take your time and do pre-sales on bn.com and get 300 pre-sales, which sounds like not that much, and it's not that much if you have 30,000 followers, right? But it's a lot if you only have 3,000 followers and you're trying to get 300. But if you can get that in pre-sales before the book is launched, so taking your time, right, up until launch date makes a huge difference in terms of how much attention your book gets when it's released. And so I love the idea that a lot of Morgan James authors have gotten at least one copy of their book in every Barnes and Noble across the country. That's how you move towards not Amazon bestseller, but New York Times bestseller.
That's kind of exciting, be able to go into a bookstore and ta-da, there it is on the shelf. I could see that.
I mean, we have a local bookstore that's independent, and because we're a small town, I can go in there and get my books on the shelf. But then I like to go in there and just like walk past my shelf and go, look at that, here's my books. But yeah, I mean, imagine if you would just travel to some other part of the country and walk into Barnes and Noble and see your book on the shelf. That would be pretty cool.
So do you walk in and start signing the books?
No, I walk in and sign other people's books. Adam Fleming.
What's here?
What's here? Yeah, it's just graffiti, but whatever.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it talks, so speed is important to think strategically about. Another reason why you might need speed is if you truly have a hot topic that's timely in a way. Let's say you're going to write a short book of 25 to 30,000 words. And gosh, what would be a topic that would be not worth waiting around for?
Sometimes cutting edge topics. And I know with AI, things are changing all the time, right? So if you're trying to do something cutting edge, if you waited too long, that's going to be obsolete and you're on to the next one. So any cutting edge topics, I would think. Something
about AI, that's a really good, yeah, absolutely. If it's going to be dead technology by 9 months from now, you better get it out fast. That doesn't mean that you can't do some quality, but then what are you sacrificing? Cost. It means if you want to put
one of them up,
you want to put it fast and good, it's going to cost money, right?
Oh yeah. Or at least your time.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And you might, let's say if all you have is like cover design that you need to do, because you're just going to launch it on Amazon and get it out there tomorrow. Where the cost comes in is doing a rush job with a high quality cover designer. They're going to say, you want it when? Yeah, I want it by February 1. Okay. Well, here goes the price. So there's always that dynamic between the interplay between those three. So, and yeah,
there's a lot that goes into the publishing of the book that I think a lot of people, if you've never published a book, are unaware of. And I know when you said, if you're just going to do a short book, like what did you say? 20,000, 25,000 words. Most people who've never written a book are going, what? That's short.
I can write about 1,000 words an hour. So I could probably put out a 25,000 word book in a month if it was very focused. But the last time I did that, the quality was suffered. So I'm not going to do that again. Yeah.
Well, I'm loving some of these pitfalls and things that we need to keep our eyes open for. Right.
Yeah. So then the last thing we want to talk about is cost. So cost is one of those things that, as you know, like you can launch. A lot of my books have not sold a lot of copies because I didn't put a lot of money into marketing. Surprise, surprise, right? Like Amazon is just a big dark hole, a black hole, not a dark hole. It's a black hole that you just throw your book at and it sucks it in and goes, whoop, and it disappears as quick as a star would in a black hole in space, right? So what you thought was this bright light is now like extinguished, right? Unless you're doing a lot of stuff to market the book, which is why we're talking about it on Giver Marketing, because a book can be a great branding piece, but it can also really kind of go nowhere. So cost. I mean, there's so many different aspects to publishing a book that could cost money or not cost money, depending on whether you go with a self-publishing, traditional publishing, or hybrid publishing. And so maybe I don't know if it's helpful for me to just list a few of the more obscure costs.
I think you should, because I think if you've never published a book, you don't know what you don't know, like we said earlier. So give us an idea of what kind of things you might go, oh, there's a cost for that. I never thought about that. I need that.
Yeah. Well, one of the costs can be time. So if you decide to self-publish, you can learn everything on YouTube. You can read books and watch YouTube videos and learn how to publish your own thing. And the cost will be time. So you could learn how to do your own cover design. You could learn how to do your own editing theoretically. Although I will say, sometimes we write things and don't realize that they have nuances and innuendos in them. And having at least one other human being read through it could save you untold misery when they say, do you realize that the kids are saying this these days to mean this nasty thing?
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like, no, I didn't know the kids were saying that, So that's just to emphasize like the value of having an editor, a human editor. That's a cost that almost every author is gonna have, that you're gonna have to budget for. So I know we've touched on editing a whole lot, but maybe that's the thing to emphasize today is editing is just super important. It's hard to overestimate how important that is.
Now you said you get what you pay for. So when you talk about budgeting, how bad is this? Should we be cringing? Should we start saving money now?
Well, I've published books for just, like I think my first novel, I paid somebody $700 to do the cover design. I figured out how to do the layout myself. If you look at the books, let me see, do I have one of those here? No, I don't have one of those right handy. The margins are really narrow. Most books have like a nice inch wide margin around the top and sides. And the way I laid out my very first book on my own, it only has about a 1/4 inch margin. And I think I probably told myself, well, this will make it fewer pages, right? So I'll pay less for printing, but it doesn't look exactly right, So you can spend money.
A little bit hard on the eyes, maybe. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's legible, but it's not like it bled over the side of the page or anything. So it works okay, but it looks a little amateurish, I'll admit. And it's just been one of those things like I'm never going to take the time to go back and fix that and re-upload an interior file to Amazon and whatnot. So you can spend some money, although it can be really pretty inexpensive to do interior layout. If you try to lay stuff out in Word on your own, be prepared for headaches upon headaches upon headaches. Raise your hand if you love to use Word as a design document. You're not raising your hand, Christine.
No. It's horrible.
No. So
last time someone sent me something, but I put it all in Word. I went, oh man. I wanted to cry.
Yeah. Cover design. And then let's see. You want to get an ISBN probably of your own. It's called International Standard book numbers, international, something like that. Whatever
Something
ISBN
number.
It's the number that goes with the barcode on the back that you'll see on any book. So those cost money, and you don't have to spend money on them if you're getting traditionally published. If you're working with like Morgan James, it costs nothing because they own that, and they will put that on for you. And it's something that I personally thought, hey, I'm going to publish 100 books. I need a different ISBN for my ebook, for my print book, and for my audiobook. So I'm using 3 ISBNs every time I publish. And so I bought 100 of them instead of buying one, because you can buy one for $125 and you can buy 100 for $600. So $6 a piece versus $125. Those are the kind of things that if you don't know, you might buy one for 125 and then someone come along later and go, oh, you need a different one for your audiobook. And you'll go, why didn't I just buy? Because I probably will write 5 books in my life. Why didn't I just buy 100 of these?
And if not, you can give them as, stocking stuffers.
Well, no, you can't. No. Well, you can't give away your ISBNs. They're kind of yours, and they can't attach anybody else's name to them, unfortunately.
So you better get writing.
Once you
your money's worth.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me of what I got to do tomorrow.
You're welcome.
Write my books. So, there's little stuff like that you might, sort of, well, I'll just buy one and then realize later, well, I need to buy 2 more. And the next thing you know, you bought 3 for $375 when you could have bought 100 for $600. Those are the kind of little pitfalls that you learn about as you DIY, right? So let me think. What are some other costs? I think we've mostly touched on the obvious ones. Christine, do you have any thoughts about?
I was just thinking about to have somebody design a cover, because we talked about the debate on AI. Can you have AI create your cover, or are you going to get in trouble for that too?
I'm not really. I'd have to ask. I'm not really sure about that.
That's an excuse to have you back on the show on a Tuesday broadcast.
There we go. Yeah. I'm not sure about that. And that's a really good question. I don't know that you would get in as much trouble, but again, covers are a little bit like editing. If you don't know what you don't know, then it can make sense to pay a little bit more for someone who's actually, what I'd be looking for, how many book covers have they done? Have they done one, or are they a graphic designer who's done all kinds of other stuff but have never done a book cover? Then I might be a little hesitant whether or not they can pull it off, because when you get to uploading it to Amazon, whether you're self-published or traditional published, oh, and by the way, the traditional publishing, they're going to do that for you. So that's not an expense. And with self-publishing, it is. And then when you go to upload it to Amazon, the specs are extremely picky. So you can get your book rejected real easy if you do the cover design wrong. And they have templates, but you really do need to be a graphic designer to know how to use those. I would never. Plus my graphic design skills, I'll be like messing around on Canva or whatever, and I'll be like, this seems pretty cool. And then my wife will be like, no, that's not cool.
What were you thinking, right?
What were you thinking? Those colors don't go together. What are you doing? So
there's so many different things that you have to think about, right? You're talking about the formatting for the book, for the printed version, for the ebook version.
Right.
And like you said, submitting it to Amazon. Well, also submitting it to Google, right? Apple and more places, because I was just thinking I've got clients that have their own, Google panel, right? As celebrity status, right? If you've written a book and submitted it to Google and you're in the Google store, a lot of times they'll create that panel for you, right? Yeah. So if you want some of the extra shiny objects to go along with it, you got to know to do that.
Yeah. But I think you did ask at one point, so what are we talking? Do I have to mortgage my house again? Or, what is the real expense here? And I would say, if you want to DIY and learn a lot of stuff because you think you're going to do it a bunch of times anyway, and then do it again and do it again and do it again, your first one might not be that great, but at least you're learning that process for yourself. Let's say you just pay someone for, cover design and interior layout, right? You might be able to get away with a budget of $500 or even less, and still get a decent cover and layout done. On the other hand, I've known hybrid publishers who say that they do a lot of marketing for you and they're going to make you a bestseller and this and that and the other thing and charge 60 or 70,000. And I'd be real cautious about that.
Yeah, that sounds kind of pricey. I've got people that can do it for a lot less than that.
I'd want to talk to some authors who had really gotten their ROI on it before I would sign with them. So I would say
I've seen the Amazon bestseller option and them getting you on that for a couple of grand.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I would say between, 500 and 10,000 is probably a good range to think of for your book. And that 10,000 will cover a fair amount of marketing stuff. So I don't know. I know we're probably pretty close to time.
We're going to wrap this up, but you've been a wealth of knowledge. We're going to have you back on the show again, because I know there's a ton of stuff that you have in that brain that we're going to pull out of you, because you have so much more to share. You have so much experience, and we appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. Now, for those that want to get in touch with Adam, here we go. We've got your deets up.
Yeah. So I would love to talk to anyone, and I would love to have you come do a free call with me if you're exploring doing a book. If you know somebody else who wants to do a book, I would strongly encourage you to do it before you start editing.
Sometimes it's nice to get that advice in place before you make all your mistakes rather than afterwards.
Or you make a lot of mistakes. Make one mistake and then come talk to me, and then you'll know how valuable it is.
Absolutely. So book that call with Adam at calendly.com/Adam Fleming. That's FLEMING. Get on his calendar. I heard you might have access to some really cool stuff too.
I do. I have access to this awesome little book called Jade, the story of a rising real estate agent, that I worked on with our own Timothy Morgan.
Ooh.
And it's a really fun little read about exactly what it says. A lady who does real estate, meets a cool marketing coach, learns a lot of principles, has a big problem in her business, thinks her business is ruined, woe is me, and falls in love and all that great stuff.
And falls in love with marketing. That's what I've decided. I haven't read it yet, but I'm assuming that's going to be the happy ending. I don't know. But if you want it, I bet you could sweet talk him. If you reach out to Adam, he could talk to you about how to get a copy of that.
Yeah.
You hop on that call with him, calendly.com/Adam Fleming. You can have a conversation with them. So I'm going to take that down, take a screenshot of it, grab it, and 3, 2, 1, there it goes. And Adam, thank you so much for coming on the show. I sure appreciate having you here.
Totally my pleasure. Thank you, everyone. See you later.
All right. We'll see you next